Good day, YouTube. Today's topic is what happens if you are enlisted and you commission to become an officer. Specifically, what happens with all of the friendships that you've made while you were enlisted? That's the topic for today. I served 5 years, 9 months, and 28 days enlisted. The reason I know the exact number of days and years and months is because my DD Form 214 had that when I separated to go into ROTC. I made a lot of friends when I was enlisted, even though I was at one base. I was there for almost 6 years, and I still keep in contact with a lot of these friends. A lot of these friends are now retired. I also knew acquaintances, people that come and go throughout our career, and sometimes you run into people and you'd be very surprised that it's a small world, it's a smaller Air Force. So you're definitely going to be coming across people. But what about these friends? Some of the friends that I was enlisted with, some of them commissioned. We were at Maxwell Air Force Base, Home of Officer Training School, OTS. So it was right in our face every time. Every 6 weeks, there were brand new lieutenants walking around the base. We were exposed to that, and we said, hey, some of us said, let's go ahead and try to become officers. Some of us made it, some of us didn't. The relationship that I formed with my friends, overall, the real friends, was pretty good. My question is that going to change in some cases? Yes. Some cases, no. Should it change? That's going to depend on you as an individual. Should it change? It shouldn't change. That's my opinion, but sometimes it does. I had a really good friend that when I was enlisted, we would watch a lot of the boxing matches together, and our families knew each other. What are the odds that my first base as an officer was in Colorado, and he got there about 1 month before I did? That doesn't happen often. That's the only example that I have that happened. But I have crossed paths with former friends as well. With this individual, I'll give you a perfect example. Nothing changed. And I think he had common sense, and I greatly appreciate that he had common sense in the sense that when we were together within the same squadron, it was a professional relationship in front of others. Now, when it was just him and I, it was like nothing changed. He would ask questions. How is it now that you became an officer? And I'd say, hey, it's kind of different, but I'd give him some examples. One example was, and it has nothing to do with this video, is when I became an officer, I had a lot of friends, and that went down to a very few friends. And the reason was because there's less officers in the Air Force, so there's less people that you can become friends with, new friends. The other friends that I have that were enlisted, they were spread out across the world, different bases. We'd keep in contact. One of them is Joe, T.I. Joe. I've made a few videos with him. He's retired now. And that's most likely the way it's going to happen. You have these friends, but they're going to scatter if you continue in the Air Force. What about the acquaintances? Acquaintances are people that just come and go, who you may have known when I was enlisted and now I commissioned. And for the most part, it has been well overall. I think a lot of people have common sense, and I greatly appreciate that because it doesn't put me in a difficult situation. So an example is, let's say I had an acquaintance or a friend from the past when we were enlisted, and they're like, hey, Hugo, how was your weekend, blah, 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 in front of other people in the unit. That puts me in an awkward and uncomfortable situation that I would have to address that when we're at work in front of others, because that's something that people are going to say, what's going on with these two individuals, whether they knew each other from many years ago or not. It doesn't make a difference. At the same time, I'll give the example. Let's say somebody outranks me. I will keep it professional and not call them by their first name because they outrank me, first of all. Second of all, if they were to say, hey, Hugo, just call me by my name, Cindy or Robert, maybe I would do that, maybe I wouldn't, but I wouldn't do it in front of others. That, to me, is the common sense that I was talking about. That's what I wanted to talk about. There's other things here. What's important is this, perception. If other people think or perceive that you are being providing favoritism to another individual, that's never a good thing, whether you knew the person or not. It doesn't really matter. Favoritism is never a good thing, so you have to be professional, whether you're enlisted or officer, with the people that you surround yourself with. What you do on your time off, maybe away from others, is your own thing. And most people aren't going to know or see what's going on, but that's how come you have to use wisdom and say, what do I want to do? Who do I want to go out with? And who do I not want to go out with? Because we don't want that perception that in some cases is reality to somebody else, whether that's accurate or not, to be a problem. Like I said, there's less officers than enlisted, so when I commissioned, there was less people for me to hang out. I actually realized that quickly. Some of the things that I wanted to talk about, that's it. What about one more thing? What about the friends that you may have while you were enlisted and you commissioned, and for some reason they don't want to talk to you anymore? That really hasn't happened to me overall, because I've met new people who I didn't even know when I was enlisted, and they retire, and even the ones that are still serving, we decided to keep in contact, even just today. Hey, how's the family doing? How's your new job? How's whatever doing? Just keeping in contact. In the Air Force, there's a lot of great people. There's also people that you're not going to mesh well with, or people that you should probably stay away with, or vice versa. So it goes back to that wisdom, like I said. I've met many people. The greatest asset in the Air Force, in my opinion, is people. And that's what I like to do, is build relationships. I have friends throughout the world. I have acquaintances throughout the world that, whether they're a friend or acquaintance, if I needed something or vice versa, and they reached out or I reached out to them, I know that they would be there for me. Something to think about. What happens when you are enlisted and you commission, or vice versa, your friend commissions, is how is that relationship going to be? Hopefully, nothing changes. There are scenarios where that will change, and that's just part of life. Hope you've enjoyed it. Take care.